Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sophie and I like to make videos about writing, crafting and reading books. I did a very spontaneous thing. I signed up for a writing sprint and I've never done one in my whole life. I've only seen other people do it and it always seemed very interesting, but I've never done it before. If you've seen any of my other videos about writing, you might have seen that I use the software Scrivener. And I signed up for their newsletter, which gives me information about some workshops that are happening around writing, but also about events that they organize. And one of these events was a writing sprint. And not just any writing sprint, but one that took 24 hours. Can we imagine? 24 hours. And globally, people all around the world were gonna sign up and were gonna participate in this event. And I read this in like somewhere in the evening and I was like, why not? So I signed up and I participated. And I had the mindset of I'm only gonna do 1 hour just to see how it goes, not pressure myself to do more than that, just to taste a bit of what it would be like. And I was so surprised because it was the best thing I've ever experienced. The people were so kind and so warm-hearted. It was such an inspiring event that I did not participate for only 1 hour. I participated for 8 hours. I would have never thought myself capable of writing 8 hours in the span of a day. That's a lot. And it was very fruitful. I was very productive and the whole atmosphere and energy of all the people just was so inspiring to keep me going. So let's see what I came up with and what I've done in those 8 hours, how it all was, and what I did, basically. Let's jump into it. So let me introduce you to the structure of the writing sprints. Each hour was opened by our hosts who gave us the time to set an intention for the next 45 minutes and then introduced us to a celebrity author. Each of them had an inspirational quote that initiated the writing session, and at the end of each hour there was a short recap in which the guest author told us how their session went and if they had any struggles accomplishing the goals they had stated beforehand. A short break followed before the next hour started. It was very interesting to take a peek into the life of other writers and see how similar the struggles actually are. It offered me a peace of mind that I was not alone in my experience in writing. It was actually very common. The first session had the author Anne Dittmeyer, a Paris-based designer who turned writer and published the book Overwrite. Her quote was the following: "You can measure your worth by your dedication to your path, not by your successes or failures." By Elizabeth Gilbert. What a beautiful quote, don't you think? I was very excited to start writing, although I was already quite tired of the day itself, but I pushed through and dived back into the land of Djazar, where a girl was desperately trying to change her fate. This session was mostly about me getting back into the story and writing the first few sentences of chapter 3 with the use of some text that I've written before. The celebrity author of the next hour was Crystal Sutherland, who wrote Chemical Hearts and House of Hollows. Her quote was, "I do not so much write a book as sit up with it, as with a dying friend. During visiting hours, I enter its room with dread and sympathy for its many disorders. I hold its hand and hope it will get better." By Annie Dillard. How poetic. In this session, I wrote around 1,000 words and rearranged some of the parts I had written before, as well as updated my outline with the corresponding chapter I was working on. Quite a good start to the event, if you ask me, especially on King's Night. The next morning, I woke up bright and early to continue writing at 8 a.m. while munching on my breakfast. The guest writer in my third hour was Nir Eyal, who wrote Indestructible, among others. His quote was, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook," by William James. This was something I really struggled with, and I noticed it especially in the next session, because as I continued with the story, where the girl in Djazar was being punished for her actions, I realized that my thoughts were so scattered that I wanted to tell too many things at the same time, and some of them didn't even matter for the plot. What to overlook? That's the question. This wasn't my most productive session, as you might understand, but the next ones went better. The following hours were accompanied by Daisy Buchanan, Natalie Liu, and Amy McNee. It felt like the hours were slipping through my fingers, but I knew exactly what I wanted to write down and finished up the third chapter with another 1,500 words. I had the feeling I was done for the day and needed a little rest from my desk. My hand had started to hurt, and I really needed some fresh air. Luckily for me, today was King's Day, which meant that everyone in the Netherlands was celebrating the birthday of our king. I ventured into the city where music was being played, people danced, sold secondhand items on flea markets, and basically had a good time together. There was food, there were drinks, and music. What else do you want? When I got home a few hours later, I was in the mood again to write and joined the last two sessions of the day. Other quotes that were mentioned during the other sessions were the following. Writing is like driving at night in the fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. Art has to be a kind of confession. The effort, it seems to me, is if you can examine and face your life, you can discover the terms with which you are connected to other lives, and they can discover them too, the terms with which they are connected to other people. Growth is an erratic forward movement, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Remember that and be very gentle with yourself. A creative recovery is a healing process. You are capable of great things on Tuesday, but on Wednesday you may slide backward. This is normal. Growth occurs in spurts. You will lie dormant sometimes. Do not be discouraged. Think of it as resting. I think that last one definitely speaks to me, because there are so many people telling you on the internet that you have to be writing every day to be a writer. You have to get up early in the morning and start with it immediately. You have to have published a book to be a writer. You have to take these steps and do this. There are so many people shouting so many different things. And it feels like you always need to be on, like you always need to be writing, and you need to do it very well. But it's a process, and sometimes you have the inspiration to write, sometimes you have time to think about ideas or to come up with new things, and sometimes you don't. And that's completely okay. It's something that I have to learn as well. And so these quotes were really helpful for me before each session started, because it kind of shifted my mindset. I went from wanting the text to be perfect from the get-go to I need to put words on paper to be able to make them better in revisions. It doesn't matter if they don't flow as well, if they're not poetic, or if the scene is not entirely how I envisioned it. The point of a first draft is to loosely set the words on paper and write the scenes that I have in mind so that I can make them better later. The actual writing of playing with words and hiding things from the reader can be done later. It felt like such a relief, and I no longer cared as much about how the words were put on paper. This allowed me to write another 1,500 words. In the end, I wrote almost 5,000 words, had rewritten my outline for upcoming chapters, and updated the outline for the chapters I had written. It felt like a big step forward. And I'm so proud of myself to have accomplished that in a span of 24 hours. Thank you to everyone who sat down and wrote with me in these sessions all around the world. Thank you to London's Writers Salon for making this even possible. It was the best experience ever. Okay, so I just finished up the 24 writing sprint. I finished up the 3rd chapter of my book, and now I will be outlining a bit for the next one and rewriting the outline that I did for the last one. It is so cool to have done this because I've never done a writing sprint before, and it was very cool and inspiring to be in this session with around 200 to 500 people that are all just working on their individual projects and are doing so many different things. Like, some people were writing for school or academics, some people were writing poems, others were writing short stories, all kinds of different genres. It was very interesting to see all of that come together and work on these things in kind of a group, sort of, but then online. And also everyone came from different countries. It was very cool and I certainly enjoyed doing it. It was also very cool because there was a celebrity author every time and they would always bring a quote with them, and that was also very inspiring. So I just loved this whole concept and very happy with what I produced, or I was very productive. Yeah, so I really liked doing this kind of thing. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I will see you the next time.